guys, it's Melissa. Welcome back to Practically Creative and the 2025 Holiday Hop. I am so excited for this year's Holiday Hop. My collaborators this year are Sylvia at You and Me FPP and Coleen at Coleen Sews and Chats. However, Coleen is having some health issues, so she's not going to be able to participate this year. So Sylvia and I are each doing 2 extra videos to make up for that, but she's still here in spirit and we're still going to mention her in our videos. Now, my theme for the Holiday Hop this year is obviously Christmas, but this is what I'm working with. I have a men's shirt that I got from Goodwill. I love this plaid, and I thought, boy, that would be so cool to use in my Christmas projects. And so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you, here's the Goodwill tag. It's a men's work shirt. It is, I can't even find the size, a large. And I'm going to use this in all of my Holiday Hop projects this year. So the first thing I'm going to do with this shirt is I'm going to take some things off of it. I'm going to take off the collar and the collar stand, and I'm just going to cut right along here. I don't know if I'm going to use these in any of the things that I make this year, but this is where I want to start. And I'm just cutting right along that seam line. And then I'm going to cut right on across. And this doesn't have to be a big, involved, complicated project. But I have an idea that collar might be useful somewhere in one of the projects. So that's all off of there. And then I'm going to go down the edge of the button placket and I'm going to take it off. But first I want to take off all those buttons because I don't want them showing up in my project anywhere if I'm sewing. So I'm just taking a little pair of embroidery scissors and I'm just cutting the threads that hold the buttons on. Now I'm going to save the buttons because that's me. I'm going to add them to my granny's button jar that I have tucked away. I don't know where it dropped. There it is. Oh well, we'll find it. As soon as I pick the fabric up, the button will fall out from under it. And I'm just sliding the scissors underneath and cutting the thread. I'm not actually cutting on the button or hurting my scissors. I'm going to double check around the collar that there's no buttons left up there. I guess I can take off the Goodwill tag now, since that's done. And if you feel more comfortable, you can wash your Goodwill shirt before you use it. I'm going to wash my stuff before I gift it, so I'm not super worried about it. And did you hear that button fall? I did. I just don't know where it went. That's okay. We'll pick it up as soon as we see it. I will show you the pieces as I use them and where they came from in the shirt. But we've got 6 projects coming, so let's not waste any more time on the taking apart of this. Let's get started on looking at the other projects. So our first Holiday Hop project this year is going to be a Sunbonnet Sue and Overall Sam hot pad. And I'm using a little piece of my shirt in here. That piece of shirt is going to become the center of the block. Sue and Sam are holding a pie. So there's our piece of the shirt, and I'm going to show you where it came from. I took it out of that collar. I like how the seam is matched up or mismatched. So I'm going to put down my pie first. And then I have already cut these out using my scan and cut. And I've already pretty much got them laid out how I like. So I'm going to put Sue on one side. And I'm going to put it so that Sue is holding part of the pie. And there's her little bonnet. Maybe I can bring everybody down just a hair. And here is Mr. Sam. And I need them to be facing one another. That's pretty good. I'm trying to make sure I keep everybody at least a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the block. There's Sam's hat. I had to make him a little taller than her. Okay, so now that we've got everybody on here, there's a couple of places that don't have glue showing on them. A couple of my pieces don't have glue on them, or at least not all the way. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a little glue at the brim of his hat. Okay, now that we've got everyone everything arranged on our little block the way we want it, I'm gonna use heat to glue everything down, and then I'm gonna do a quick applique stitch around everything. And whenever we do this, we don't want to iron, we want to set our iron down so that it presses everything down. And when you pick it up, you just pick it up, because you don't want things to move like her hat just did. And I try to leave it down there long enough to make sure that everything's going to stay where I want it. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be stitched or glued down well enough so that when I go to stitch it, it's not all flopping around on me. That's a technical term, by the way, flopping around. Now what I want to check real fast is that everything is fastened down so it's not going to fall off. And then those of you who are sharp-eyed have already noticed that there is a piece of batting behind my block, and that's there on purpose, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little tiny bit of my tacky spray, my Aleene's tacky spray, and I mean a tiny bit, that was just a little squirt, and I'm going to set my block down on here, And when I do my embroidery stitches to hold this Sue and Sam on my block, I'm going to go ahead and keep that quilt batting behind there. Now, on this, I used Aleene's tacky glue, and I like that. It works quite well for me. But I will also show you that I have this in my arsenal, and this is just regular old washable school glue. When you wash your piece after it's complete, this washes out. So you can use that. It's way cheaper than the Aleene's glue. I just happen to have the Aleene's glue. I don't know if I bought it or if I received it as some kind of a gift in a drawing somewhere, but I do have that. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how I sew all of these pieces down. And I'm going to bring you up close and personal so you can see. And again, I'm double checking to make sure nothing's falling off of there. And then before we go over there, I have this little bit of an edge that doesn't want to cooperate for me. See how that's fraying? I can sew that down, but it's just going to look messy, so let me get it off of there and clean up that little spot. Just because an edge is frayed doesn't mean that your project is ruined. Okay, so I'm at my sewing machine now. I'm using my Jazz 2, which is a baby lock machine. As you can see, I have my I have my length set on 1 and my width set on 3. This is so I can get a nice tight zigzag stitch. This machine struggles with producing a true embroidery stitch or satin stitch, so I do the best I can with what the machine's got to offer. And then down here at the machine, we've got our entire block down here to be sewn. And I'm going to start with that center pie crust because it's the furthest back thing. And the way this works whenever you stitch is you want to start with whatever's in the back, stitch that part, and then move up in your layers as you go. So I've already put my presser foot down, I've already got it ready to sew, and here we go. Okay, and I need to make it so that my needle stays down whenever I stop. Now I'm going to lift my needle up, and I'm not going to cut that thread. That's called a jump stitch. And I am going to leave that there until I'm done stitching at least this section. And then I'm going to start right over here. I'll go around the other section of our pie. Okay, got my fine little embroidery scissors in here. I'm going to cut out the beginning thread from before, and then another jump stitch, and I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go around that hand. You'll notice I'm getting ready to turn this way So I'm letting my needle stop on the outside, and then I'm just barely turning the piece. And that's so that my needle stays, or the stitches stay on the fabric that I'm wanting to stitch down. Now I'm gonna make it so that it's on the inside. And I don't typically backstitch on this because I've still got the sleeve to go over the top of it. And when I do the sleeve is where I'm going to need to backstitch. And I missed a little bit of that pie right there. I'm going to go back over it right now. Mistakes happen. What matters is how you deal with them. Calm, easy, go back and fix it. If they're looking that close at your stuff, they don't need to be looking at your stuff. Even if it's your mother-in-law, I don't care. I'm not here to judge you, and they shouldn't be either. Alright, now, you'll notice we're up to Sam's sleeve here, right? And that piece of the pie just does not want to sew down. So we're going to do from here around to his sleeve and get that down, and then we'll go back and fix that. Should have stopped on the outside because that's the direction I'm turning. That's the inside of his thumb, so we're going to start on the inside. Alright, and that little edge still hasn't picked up, so we're just going to go ahead and make sure it catches. Because that's a pain. If I don't catch it this time, I'm just going to glue it down and call it good. And I am showing you where I'm cutting my threads out and all my mistakes. See, there's another boo-boo. That's okay. We're going to fix it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to sew down is I'm going to do Sam's foot, because I'm here. And the scan and cut did weird things to his foot, but I'm okay with that. Cutting a thread out again. Okay, now the next thing I could do is his leg, and I think I'm going to do that because it's behind the arm and it's behind the hat, so it can use being stitched now. I'm outside corner at the corner of his overalls, and then once again, I don't need to back stitch or tie off threads there. And then I'm going to start right here with the edge of his shirt. Stop at the outside corner and turn. I'm trying to show you that little thread there. And I should have done it before I did the edge of the pie, but that's okay. And all I did there was I did not cut my thread. I just went ahead and created a jump stitch. That one's an inside corner, so I'm stopping on the inside and going up to the top of his shirt. Again, I'm not doing a back stitch there. And I don't know how many times I've called that a back space. I'm horrible about that. So, any of you who've seen me call it a back space, I'm sorry. Alright, and now we're going to go around the sleeve itself, because that's the top part here. And I'm going to stop at the outside, because I want my thread to go from the outside edge of this towards the inside of the fabric. And it's probably hard to see on screen, but I have a black sleeve. Stop at the outside because I'm turning. And then I'm going to do the hat. And from here on in, I will speed this up so you can see it happen. But we won't be having any more commentary. I'll just show you as I go. I started out with the shirt, and now we have a salmon sue block for a pot holder. You can see the shirt right there in the pie. Now, if you enjoyed this, I hope that you'll come back for the next video in the Holiday Hop series. But in the description box below, go check out the next collaborator in this series this year. I hope you enjoy it. Everybody be sure to drink lots of water. Have a great, and I hope you had a great and happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for watching.